Look for kind things to say. This is a practice that I've recommended to a fair number of folks over the years. Most of the time, it's been in the context of resolving an interpersonal conflict between two people at work or in some sort of professional setting. But it really has broad application to one's entire life for a number of reasons. First and foremost, if you say a kind thing to someone, that's usually pleasant for them. They're usually going to have a good time. A brief addendum about looking for kind things to say. Make sure not to be a creeper. Whenever one is recommending behaviors, one has to remember that there's always somebody who wants to take it in a strange, self serving sort of direction. So limit your kind comments to the relationships you already have with people as a general guideline. If you have a professional relationship, professional comments. Most of us like to have the experience of being appreciated, of somebody looking upon us with appreciation, seeing things that we do, that we contribute, and valuing them and expressing that experience of value. That's incredibly fulfilling for folks, and so if you can give that to them, it's basically free. A little bit of effort to actually pay attention to what they're doing, what they're contributing, where you can find something positive to point out, and you get to give this incredible gift. So that's one thing. Feels good to receive a kind comment. Second thing, it feels really good to give a kind comment. It's a really positive sort of life experience to be on the lookout for something to appreciate about other people who you share your spaces with. Kindness fills you up in a way that you just can't get elsewhere. Really, really genuine kindness. Do recommend. Give it a go. 3, it relieves a tremendous amount of tension and stress that people experience because we are all incredibly susceptible to the narrative that we are being looked upon critically, or that people are out to get us or whatnot. And so when folks don't have any information about how they are being viewed, they tend to project into that absence of information a very pessimistic assumption. So if you give people information about how you're viewing them because you make it clear that you are viewing them with an eye to appreciate, that just removes tension that doesn't need to be there. Fourth, it builds social capital. So I first really learned this behavior from a friend of mine, Big Z, what's up, Zaya? He was my boss. That's how our relationship started. He was my boss, and he was the best boss because he found something positive to point out about your performance in the workplace basically every time he saw you. And what that meant was, of course, the aforementioned benefits, so everybody loved him. But it also meant that when he had to deliver bad news or he had to say something negative, there was no entertaining the notion, oh, this guy's just out to get me. Oh, this guy's just looking for some. Because for every one piece of bad news you got, you heard 20 good things. You got 20 compliments. And because of that deep well of social capital, it was far easier to receive criticism. And so if you are in a situation, especially where you are in a leadership role, but even just if you're having to work in a team and having to coordinate efforts and having to really get people on the same page to achieve some goal, having that kind of social capital from having spent the time really looking for a kind thing to say about someone's contribution, finding something you appreciate about what they have done, makes it so much easier to then have the difficult discussions where you need to point out something that they're maybe not doing well. And that is a much nicer life to live in for everybody because you get to improve your coordination and your performance as a team, and everybody has an easier time of the conversations that facilitate that. So, grand. And the last thing, and I'm sort of burying the lead, I suppose, but for me, the most important thing is that it changes the way that you experience the world. Because the sort of the external independent reality kind of thing that we presume is out there is much bigger than the worlds that we build up, the worlds of our experience. And so there's a lot of truth to the notion that you find whatever you're looking for. There's just so much stuff out there, and the proportion of it that we can pay attention is so small compared to this grand totality that you can fill up an entire life with whatever you want to look for. And so if you are looking for opportunities for kindness, you will fill your days up with the discovery of opportunities for kindness and bringing about those kind interactions. And that's a better way to live a human life.